we are interested to learn the psychrometry and psychrometric processes. So psychrometry is basically the branch of engineering science which deals with the study of moist air. Now moist air, which is the mixture of dry air plus water vapor. So water vapor is basically known as moisture. So dry air plus moisture, that we are calling it as a moist air. Now the different psychrometric processes. Okay. Now, if we recall the psychrometric chart, so on psychrometric chart, as we know that x-axis represents the dBT, that is known as dry bulb temperature, and y-axis represents the W, that is known as specific humidity. So there are different properties of or different terms that are used in the psychrometry, like a dry air, moist air, dBT, that is dry bulb temperature, wet bulb temperature, dew point temperature, then specific humidity, relative humidity, etc. etc. So on psychrometric chart, the x-axis represents the dry bulb temperature, which is in degree Celsius, and y-axis represents the specific humidity, which is in kg per kg of dry air. Now, so I am drawing a processes. Okay, so 1, 2, then 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now here the first process is 1 to 2. 1 to 2. So psychrometric process starts at 1 and it ends at 2. Okay. So obviously the arrow is like this. Okay. So in this process, the dBT of that air is increasing from TD1 to TD2, where TD represents the dry bulb temperature, okay, without affecting the specific humidity. So specific humidity is the mass of water vapor present in the air, okay. So this process is known as a sensible heating process. This is known as sensible heating process, where the specific humidity of the air is not changing and dBT of that air is increasing from TD1 to TD2. Okay. Whereas the relative humidity lines, if you consider on this chart, so relative humidity lines, so relative humidity of that air is decreasing from this phi 1 to this is phi 2, where phi represents the relative humidity. Okay. Now if you reverse this thing, okay, like this, 2 to 1. So 2 to 1, where the dry bulb temperature is decreases without affecting the specific humidity. So this process is known as sensible cooling. This is known as sensible cooling. Okay. Then 3 to 4, that is a vertical line on psychrometric chart, okay, and the tip of the arrow is like this. So here the dry bulb temperature is not changing, whereas the specific humidity is increasing from this level to this level. Okay, so this process 3 to 4 is known as humidification. This is known as humidification. Okay. So in humidification process, the specific humidity is increasing from this W3 to W4, and relative humidity also increasing from phi3 to phi4. Okay. Then 4 to 3, exactly reverse of this. Okay, where this specific humidity is decreasing from W4 to W3, relative humidity is also decreasing, and dBT, that is dry bulb temperature of air, remains constant. Okay. Then in this process is known as a dehumidification process. This is known as dehumidification process. So we have learned the four processes now. 1 to 2, which is a sensible heating, 2 to 1, which is a sensible cooling, 3 to 4, which is a humidification process, then 4 to 3, which is a dehumidification process. Okay. Then next process is the 5 to 6. 5 to 6, like this. So in 5 to 6, the dry bulb temperature of air. Okay. Dry bulb temperature of air is decreasing from this TD5 to TD6. Okay. Because on the vertical scale we are representing this dBT, and these vertical lines are the dBT lines, and this dBT is increasing from left to right. Okay. So dry bulb temperature is decreasing from TD5 to TD6. Okay. So here there is a cooling. Since dry bulb temperature is decreasing, so it is a cooling. And along with that, the specific humidity is also increasing. So specific humidity is also increasing from this W5 to W6. Okay. So humidification is there along with cooling. So this process is known as a cooling with humidification. This is known as cooling with humidification. Okay. In this process, there is a decrease in the dBT and increase in the humidity of the air. So when water vapor get added in the air, so humidity is increasing. So it is known as the humidification process. Okay. When dBT is decreasing, so it is a cooling process. When dBT is increasing, so it is a heating. Okay. Then exactly reverse from 6 to 5. 6 to 5, which is a dBT is increasing. Okay. And specific humidity is also decreasing. So this process is a heating with dehumidification. So this is a heating with dehumidification. Heating with dehumidification. Okay. Now I will come to the next process, that is 7 to 8. Now 7 to 8, in this process dBT is increasing. Okay. And specific humidity is also increasing. So as specific humidity is increasing, so it is a humidification, and dBT is also increasing, so it is a heating. So this process 7 to 8 is known as a heating with humidification process. Then 8 to 7, exactly reverse, where the dBT is decreasing and specific humidity is decreasing. So if dBT is decreasing, so it is a cooling process, and specific humidity is also decreasing, so it is a dehumidification process. So 8 to 7, this process is known as cooling with dehumidification process. Okay. Now, so we have learned the 8 processes here. Okay. 1 to 2, sensible heating, 2 to 1, sensible cooling, 3 to 4, humidification process, 4 to 3, dehumidification process, then 5 to 6, that is a cooling with humidification, 6 to 5, heating with dehumidification, 7 to 8, that is a heating with humidification, and 8 to 7 that is a cooling with dehumidification process. Okay, so corresponding changes in the dPt and WBT. dPt is a dew point temperature and the wet bulb temperature. That also you can realize by just drawing the line. For example, these are the dBT lines. Okay, so from the this is known as a saturation curve. This is known as saturation curve. Okay, so the line intersect to saturation curve from which the line gets start, horizontal line gets start, that are known as the dPt lines. So corresponding to that point, in the different processes you can realize the changes in the dPt. You can also realize the changes in the WBT, because WBT lines are these inclined lines. Okay. Also you can realize the changes in the enthalpy. This is basically the enthalpy scale. Okay, and the inclined lines are that this kind of lines are basically are known as a constant enthalpy lines. Okay, so corresponding to that point you can also realize the changes in the specific humidity also. Okay, so 8 processes we have learned here. Okay, now the important part, how to analyze these different processes and how to solve the numericals based on the different processes. Okay, so for example, I am considering the sensible heating process. Sensible heating process. I am representing only sensible heating line on psychrometric chart. So this is dPt, this is W, that is specific humidity. Okay, and the sensible heating line that I am representing here like this 1, 2. Okay, here. Okay, now here I am considering one heating coil like this, and air gets passed over that heating coil. Okay, and flowing over that heating coil. Now this may be the electrical heating coil, or you can consider the tube through which the steam gets passed. Okay, so suppose TD1, that is the dry bulb temperature of that incoming air. Okay, and this is TD2, that air which is leaving from that after heating. Okay, so when air gets passed over that, there is a transfer of heat from this heating coil to the air. Okay, so the air gets heated from TD1 to TD2. Okay, so some of the air get bypasses over that heating coil. Okay, so actual temperature of the coil, which is TD3 basically. Okay, so the corresponding temperatures I am writing here. This is TD3, this is TD2, and this is TD1. Okay, so TD1, which is a temperature of inlet air, TD2, which is a temperature of outlet air, means after passing over that coil, and TD3, which is the surface temperature of that heating coil. Okay, so the bypass factor, there is one term that is known as bypass factor, that basically signifies the amount of air get bypasses, means that is not coming in contact with the air. So how to determine that bypass factor, which is very simple. The amount of air that is not coming in contact with the air, so it is the unachievable effect. So unachievable heating effect is very simple. In terms of temperature we can write TD3 minus TD2 divided by TD3 minus TD1. Okay, so this is the unachievable heating effect because of some of the air get bypasses over that heating coil. Okay, so similarly we can find out the efficiency of that heating coil. So efficiency of that heating coil is the actual amount of heat that get transferred from heating coil to the air. That is very simple, m dot Cp delta T. The actual amount of heat transfer, which is that is TD2 minus TD1. So m dot Cp is common, so I am not writing at numerator as well as denominator. So TD2 minus TD1 divided by TD3 minus TD1. Okay. So m dot Cp, which is common at numerator as well as denominator, because same quantity of air that is getting entered, same is passing over that heating coil, and assuming that the specific heat of air is not changing with respect to temperature in this. Okay. So in short, we can also write that efficiency, which is equal to 1 minus bypass factor. Using these two equations, we can write that efficiency is equal to 1 minus bypass factor. Now the bypass factor of the, in this case, if it is 0.2, then the efficiency of coil is 80%. Means whatever amount of heat which is available in the coil, out of that 80% heat get transferred to that transferred to the air when it is passing over that. Okay. So in this way we can write this equation. Now, as far as the analysis is concerned, it is very important to determine the coil wattage, or we can write the capacity of the coil. Capacity of the heating coil. Okay. So for this application, suppose I want to decide the capacity wattage of that coil. I want to raise the temperature of air from TD1 to TD2 with some TD1 to TD2, and how I can decide the wattage? It is very simple. Just get the values of enthalpies from enthalpy scale H1, H2 and H3. Okay. So capacity we can determine m dot A, that is the mass flow rate of air. A stands for air, m dot stands for mass flow rate, multiply by, I want to raise the temperature from TD1 to TD2, so I will take the corresponding enthalpies H1 and H2. So this is H2 minus H1. So m dot A multiply by H2 minus H1. So enthalpy, which is in kilojoule per kg, okay, and mass flow rate of air is kg per second. So this kg will get cancelled out. We will get a kilojoule per second, and kilojoule per second is known as a kilowatt. So in this way we can determine the capacity of the coil or wattage of that coil that is needed in for this particular process. Okay. Now we can also decide the mass flow rate of steam also. So in process industries, basically there is the availability of the steam. Okay. So in process industry there is a boiler is producing that steam, and then the steam is utilizing for the heating purpose. Okay. Now in this case, how to get the mass flow rate of steam that is needed here? Okay. So for example, I am passing the steam here, which is having the 100 degrees Celsius temperature. It is a saturated steam, and steam after passing over after giving heat to the air when it is passing, so it is a condensate if it is available at some 80 degrees Celsius suppose. Okay. Now in this case, the amount of heat which is transferred or amount of heat that is needed to rise that temperature, just now we have determined m dot A H2 minus H1. Okay. And this is equal to the corresponding to this temperature, there is a we can take the this corresponding to this temperature of the steam, we can get the enthalpy value from the steam table. Okay. So it is the mass flow rate of that steam now, multiply by Hg, that is the enthalpy of that saturated steam, minus the enthalpy of that condensate at 80 degrees Celsius. Okay. So if you balance this equation, we can determine the mass flow rate of steam that is basically needed to flow through the heating coil in order to raise the temperature from TD1 to TD2. Okay. So second process, analysis of second process that we are going to learn, that is the sensible heating process, the sensible cooling process, sorry. So obviously we need for sensible cooling process, we need a sensible cooling, we need a refrigeration system, that is compressor, condenser, expansion device and the evaporator. If you are using a vapor compression system, if you are using a vapor absorption system, then we need absorber, generator, rectifier, analyzer, condenser, etc. Okay. So in sensible cooling process, again air that flows over that, now instead of the heating coil, now it is a cooling coil, this is because we want a cooling. Okay, that get passed over that. This is TD1, this is TD2. Okay, now as we discussed, this is the temperature inlet conditions. Okay, suppose this is the outlet conditions. This is TD1, that is the inlet condition of air. Okay, then TD2, which is the outlet condition of air, and this is TD3, which is the surface temperature, coil surface temperature. Okay, so this is cooling coil which is having a surface temperature as TD. Okay, now here also we can write the bypass factor. Now here unachieved cooling effect. Now unachieved cooling effect in terms of temperature is TD2 minus TD3. So we can write bypass factor in this case is TD2 minus TD3 divided by TD1 minus TD3. Very simple. Unachieved cooling effect divided by this TD1 minus TD3. Similarly, we can write efficiency of cooling coil, that is 1 minus bypass factor. Okay. Then we can also write the capacity of the cooling coil in TR. That also we can write. Capacity of cooling coil. Okay, it is very simple. M dot A, that is mass flow rate of air, multiply by the corresponding enthalpies. Corresponding enthalpies we can get, this is 0.1, this is 0.2, this is 3, this is H3, this is H2, this is H1. Okay, so M dot A multiply by, now H1 minus H2, H1 minus H2. Okay. So this, in this way we can determine capacity of cooling coil. If you interested in the TR, that is ton of refrigeration of that coil, so this is again kilojoule per kg. If you multiply by kg per minute of mass flow rate, then you will get this capacity in kilojoule per minute, and as we know that 210 kilojoule per minute is equal to 1 TR. So in this way you can determine the capacity of the cooling coils. Okay. Now next process that we learn, that is third process we will see, that is cooling with dehumidification. Now as we know that in cooling with dehumidification process, dBT has to decrease, and it is a dehumidification, so specific humidity has to decrease. Okay, so like this. Okay, now suppose this is 1 and this is 2. Now in this case, this is TD1, this is TD2. Okay, now the dry bulb temperature is decreasing and specific humidity is decreasing. So specific humidity is decreasing from W1 to W2 and dry bulb temperature is decreasing from TD1 to TD2. Okay. Whereas the relative humidity is in this case is decreasing. Relative humidity lines are basically that lines are parallel to the saturation curve lines. Okay. So relative humidity is decreasing in this case. Okay. Then WBT is basically decreasing here. DPT is also decreasing, that is dew point temperature. Okay. Now it is a cooling with dehumidification process. Okay. So here we are interested to have the capacity of the cooling coil. Now capacity of that coil we can determine very simple. You can make a triangle here. Okay. And if you project that enthalpies, that is H1, HA and H2. Okay. So before we go for that capacity, we can determine the sensible heat factor. This is very important term. So sensible heat factor, which is the ratio of sensible heat divided by sensible heat plus latent. Okay. Now sensible heat we can determine in this case as very simple, HA minus H2 divided by H1 minus H2. This H1 minus H2 we can also write like this, that is sensible heat HA minus H2 plus H1 minus HA. So this HA will get cancelled out. We will get this as a H1 minus H2. Okay. So in this way we can determine the sensible heat factor corresponding to this process. Okay. So in this case also we can determine the capacity of that cooling coil. Okay. Which is very simple, H1 minus H2. Okay. Multiply by the mass flow rate of that air. Okay. And particularly if you project this line, okay, so this line that is intersecting to the saturation curve, that point is known as a ADP. So this ADP is known as a apparatus dew point, and corresponding to that temperature is known as apparatus dew point temperature. Okay. Now next process we can exactly reverse of this, which is a heating with humidification process. Okay. Similarly, we will get a sensible heat factor also. In that case, we have to determine the capacity of that heating coil. Okay. Then next process we are going to analyze, that is known as the humidification process. That is known as only humidification process. So this is DBT, this is W, that is specific humidity. So humidification. This humidification process. Okay. So 1 to 2. Okay. In this case, DBT is not changing. Okay. And specific humidity is increasing from W1 to W2. In this particular case, we are interested to determine capacity of humidifier. Okay. So that is basically we are determining by mass flow rate of air, that is m dot A, multiply by W2 minus W1. So W2 is a specific humidity corresponding to 2 and W1 is a specific humidity corresponding to 1. In this case, we are basically adding the water vapor and or moisture in the air. Okay, without affecting the dry bulb temperature. In this process, relative humidity is also increasing from phi1 to phi2. WBT is also increasing from this TW1 to TW2. Okay. So similarly we can determine the capacity of the dehumidifier also. It is very simple, m dot A multiply by this particular specific humidity minus this specific humidity. Okay. Okay, now we are basically interested to learn the adiabatic mixing of two air streams. Okay, so in my previous lecture on cooling load estimation, I told that two air streams, that is the fresh air, get mixed with the recirculated air. Okay, so two air streams when it get mixed, okay, which is having a different enthalpy, which is having a different specific humidity and the mass flow rate. So we are basically interested to determine the mass flow rate, enthalpy and specific humidity of that mixed air. Okay, so I am considering the two air streams here. Okay, like this, two air streams. This is the first air stream. Okay, having the mass flow rate m dot 1, having the enthalpy H1, having a specific humidity W1. Here it is m dot 2, H2 and W2. Okay, when it get mixed, we will get a mass flow rate of that mixed air having the mass flow rate as a m dot 3, enthalpy as H3 and W3 specific humidity. Okay, now we have to write the mass balance, enthalpy balance and the humidity balance equation. And specifically I have written the term here adiabatic. So there is no heat addition from outside. Okay, so I am writing the mass balance equation. So according to conservation of mass, m dot 1 of mass flow rate of air get mixed with a m dot 2 and will get a mass flow rate as m dot 3. Okay, similarly enthalpy balance we can write very simple, m dot 1 with enthalpy H1, okay, plus m dot 2 with enthalpy H2 is equal to m dot 3 with enthalpy of that mixed air is a H3. Okay, so like that we can write the enthalpy balance or energy balance. We can also write the humidity balance like m dot 1 W1 plus m dot 2 W2 is equal to m dot 3 W3. So like if you know the properties, for example, this is the airstream of fresh air, this is the airstream of recirculated air, both get mixed. Okay, we can determine the properties of that mixed air using these equations. Okay, so now as far as the problems on cyclometric processes are concerned, okay, we are generally interested to determine the capacity of either a heating coil, capacity of the cooling coil, capacity of the humidifier, capacity of the dehumidifier. In some problem it may ask to determine the bypass factor or sensible heat factor. Okay, so how to solve the numericals on the cyclometric processes? Okay, first of all we have to plot the conditions of the air given in the numerical on the psychrometric chart. Okay, then we have to identify the psychrometric process. Okay, so based on that we have to draw the psychrometric process. Okay, and based on that properties getting from that psychrometric chart, okay, with the appropriate equation we have to determine the unknown things. Okay, so thank you.